Good morning, colleagues, and welcome to this hybrid meeting of the Special Family Education and Justice Committee. I'd remind all attendees that this meeting is being recorded and webcast live on the Council's YouTube channel. I have agreed to the attendance of some members remotely, and I just remind them to mute the microphones when not speaking. Thank you. I would also like to welcome Mrs. Christine Hay today. This is her first meeting of the Family Education and Justice Committee. She's our rep from the Church of Scotland, so welcome, Christine. Okay, go on to apologies and substitutes, Liz.
Thank you, Convener. We have apologies from Jackie Wilson, Church Representative. That is all.
Thank you. And declarations of interest or statements of transparency. That's fine. So we'll go on to the budget update. Education and Lifelong Learning Directorate, and our Director, Kerry McIntosh, will do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Convener. Agenda item 4 provides members with information relating to budget issues, budget savings and amendments to charges for the 2024-25 Council budget. Appendix B contains 8 options for budget savings. As this Directorate is allocated 44% of the overall Council budget, the total of these savings is considerable. My officers and I have worked together to present budget savings options we believe will cause the least detrimental impact on outcomes for our children and young people, all to support members to set a balanced budget for 24-25 for the Council. Similarly, the detail relating to an option to increase the charge for a school meal was arrived at following consideration of all available data, whilst remaining committed to the cost of the school day agenda and the Council's aspiration to reduce child poverty. Increasing the cost of a school meal will result in an payment received by those entitled to free school meals during school closure periods. We are joined today by our 4 service leaders. I would like to take this opportunity to thank them for their work in preparation for today. Committee members will appreciate that developing our options was onerous, but that our communication with those parts of our Directorate who may be directly affected by decisions made later today was even more difficult. Officers have led this work with great sensitivity. Thank you, and we will of course take any questions that you have.
Thank you, Kelly. Do we have any questions? No questions. Do we have any comments? Mike Callaghan.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Chair. I do have a short statement I'd like to make. First off, I'd like to thank the Director for not calling the budget cuts to schools and children table today as budget efficiencies. It has been made clear in these papers that Angus Council's financial sustainability is in jeopardy. This is in 4.2 from the background reports. It's clear from these papers that the impact assessments that the Council itself knows that the cuts will affect the most vulnerable children and young adults in Angus. Draw your attention to page 31, where the negative impacts are to the children and young people. Page 34, there's 2 sets of negative impacts, and this is going to increase attainment gap. Page 51, the assessment on the impact of removal of funding for additional staffing is particularly, although not surprisingly, quite damning. Page 53, increases in equality and poverty-related attainment gap. Page 54, negative impacts times 2, most vulnerable affected. Although I'm elected, I'm not a politician. There are 2 questions that I struggle to contemplate the answer to. 1, who does want these cuts that will affect our most vulnerable children? And 2, where is the money going that used to be given to these vital children's services? It's also recorded in these pages that these cuts will affect the ability to recruit and train new teachers, further compounding the problems and lengthening the return to normal services, if a return is ever possible. This is evidence within the Council papers on page 29 through reduced leadership, page 50 and 51, negative impact. The decision not to recruit teachers may limit the capacity of our schools to deliver improved educational outcomes for all children, including those who are care experienced and those affected by poverty-related attainment gap. What this means in real terms now is that in Angus, for the first time, we will have multiple teachers in August triggering the 4-year right to permanent contract rule. This means we've had teachers with no permanent contract for 4 years, but they've been continuously employed within Angus as a teacher, so their services are required. How is this supporting a workforce that is bearing the brunt of the challenges in mitigating the cuts that have been made here for multiple previous years that affect the most vulnerable in our society? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Callaghan. Any other comments? Councillor Speed.
Yeah. just very simply to say what an absolutely horrendous situation for you, Director, and your workforce to be faced with. You know, I'm clearly very concerned about all our children and families within Angus. However, I'll save the rest of my questions and comments for the budget.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Whiteside.
Thank you, Convener, and thank you for your statement. I'd just like to, for the avoidance of any doubt, I think I would like to reiterate nobody wants to make these cuts, not Kelly and our team and not elected members. We're not diverting funds to anything else. We're faced with cuts for all directorates in order to present a balanced budget, which unfortunately we'll have to do. So I totally appreciate your comments and just like to make that clear.
Councillor Meehan.
Just for information, the camera wasn't working there with Councillor Whiteside. It's on me, but it wasn't my Councillor Whiteside.
Would you like to press the microphone again, Councillor Whiteside, just to see if it works? Well, if there are no other comments, I'd like to bring this to a close. Thank you very much for your attendance.
Sorry, Convener, can we just agree with the recommendations, please?
Four recommendations. One, note and discuss the budget. Note and discuss the budget savings. Note and discuss the proposed 20p increase. Agree that the feedback and comments will be reported verbally by the Director of Education and Learning to the meeting this afternoon. Do we agree? Agree. Thank you.
Thanks, John. You can stop the live stream.